Number 133 Romeo Charlie, contact Havana Center 13511.
Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to FS MaNiA. In our last episode, we flew the Daher TBM 930 from Sarasota to Key West, Florida. Today, we're heading north to Atlanta, Georgia in the magnificent Cessna Citation C700 Longitude. Although this is the MSFS default version of the Citation Longitude, I am using the working title G3000 mod, which also works for the G5000, as well as a Flight Dynamics mod by Darkfly0219. I'll leave links for both mods in the video description. The Longitude is currently the flagship business jet of the Cessna Citation family. The Longitude is a relatively new addition to the Citation family, having just received FAA certification in September of 2019. The aluminum airframe is the same fuselage cross-section as the Citation Latitude, but the Longitude has been stretched by a seat row, which allows for seating of up to 12 passengers. At the maximum cruise altitude of 45,000 feet, the Longitude's cabin climbs no higher than 5,950 feet above sea level. The Longitude is powered by a pair of FADEC-equipped Honeywell HTF 7700L turbofan engines that include fully integrated autothrottles. The autothrottles are simulated in this model, but in my opinion they're a bit too aggressive, which can create annoying landing gear alerts. But no worries, we can deal with a few minor issues in a default aircraft. The Longitude's flight deck is designed for simplicity and ease of use with minimal clutter. Much of this is due to the Garmin GTC 570 touchscreen controllers, which consolidate many functions that used to be managed with knobs, switches, and buttons. There are 4 touchscreen controllers, 2 in the center console and 1 on each the left and right side. The controllers are the infrared touch type and thus can be manipulated while wearing ordinary gloves or with the end of a pen or pencil. The Garmin G5000 flight deck features Garmin's first head-up display. The new GHD 2100 with enhanced vision was not available on the Longitude at entry into service, but will be a follow-on certification. Currently, the one we have in Microsoft's default model is strictly eye candy. The Longitude has a new 28-degree swept wing with a wingspan of 69 feet. She stands 19 feet tall to the top of her T-tail and is 73 feet long. She has a maximum takeoff weight of 39,500 pounds, a fuel capacity of 14,511 pounds. That's 2,165 gallons of Jet A. I checked, and currently Signature Flight Support in Key West has Jet A at $6.61 per gallon. The Longitude has a cruise speed of 483 knots, a range of 3,500 nautical miles, and a service ceiling of 45,000 feet. Okay, we're burning daylight. Climb aboard, buckle up, let's go flying. Hello everyone, and welcome aboard to the flight deck of the Citation C700 Longitude. This is FS MaNiA's nonstop flight from Key West, Florida to Atlanta, Georgia. We're flying into the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. So buckle up, let's get this show on the road. And first thing we want to do is get ourselves some electrical. So left battery on, right battery on. We'll cut on the generators for engine 1 and engine 2. And while that's warming up, we'll get ourselves some recognition lights on. And let's come down here and get our APU started. Bring it over to start, and we should be seeing the APU bleed in the normal position. We are. Now we can.
System test. Okay.
Thank you very much. We can come in and just monitor the APUs winding up over here. And while that's doing that, we'll set our baros 3000. Set it over here 3000. APU's 100%. Bring on the APU generator. We'll open up that bus and test our standby power and bring it into the on position, and we're all set there. See if we can get our yoke back in the real world. And I'd like to start over on the left side, and first thing we're going to do is set a speed bug for takeoff. VR, we're setting at 128, and let me just check. Our takeoff weight is 32,245 pounds. That's with 1,089 gallons of Jet A. So VR for that is actually 114. So let's plug that in. 114, and we'll show that. And we'll set our nav source to the FMS, and we can also set our transponder 0316, enter that, and we'll leave it in standby for right now. And we might as well get our ATIS. We're flying with ForeFlight today, so just to get our ATIS, what we're going to do is press our airports button. Let's press Key West and see ATIS is 119675. So let's plug that in to the standby 119675. Transfer it up there, and we'll listen to the ATIS.
Key West Airport information Echo 21000.
Echo.
Wind 155 at 14. Visibility 10. Sky condition. Few clouds at 1,200 feet. Few clouds at 4,200 feet. Few clouds at 12,400 feet. Temperature 25. Dew point 10. Altimeter tree 0.00.
3000. I was right.
Landing and departing runway 9er. DSR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Echo.
Okay, we've got Echo, and I put guard in there so we don't have to have robots bugging us while we're trying to fly. So real quick, I'll put in our flight plan. So Key West is Kilo Echo Yankee and Whiskey. Enter, confirm, and destination is Atlanta. I accidentally hid the yoke, no problem, and I put in the alpha twice, so let's back that up. Tango Lima is what we want, so Tango Lima, and enter that, and that looks good. So en route waypoints, we've got, let's bring our flight plan up from ForeFlight, and this is our routing right now. We're not using airways simply because I've not found a way to put those in yet. They're showing them on the MFD, which is great, but I have not found a way to insert them into the flight plan. But that's okay. We're going to use just basically Corgi, Carter, FEMID, K-PASA, all the way to Larry, to the Lars, Jedi 2 Lars transition for the arrival. And we're just going to get enough of that plugged in so that we can get off the ground. I won't make you watch the whole thing, but let's see. Corgi is the very first one. Let's get that one in. See, Corgi is Charlie. Oscar Romeo. Golf India. And they found duplicates, so we're going to pick the one that's closest, 19 nautical miles. And that one's good. Then Carter, and so on. I think that's it. So let's go back and tell it we're done. Looks like we got everything. Corgi, Carter, FEMID, K-PASA, HEPAR. We can plan for the arrival from the west. So let me go back and put that in procedure. We'll go ahead and put it in now. Really no big deal to do it later either, but Jedi 2 is what we're going to plan for, and the Lars transition, and we'll load that up. And since we're landing to the west, I'm going to just go ahead and put in right now the GPS for 27 left, RNAV 27 left, and we're right there. Silva transition, That's what we want, and we'll load that. So flight plan now all good to go. Let me see if there's anything else on this page that we need to worry about. I think we've got our MFD and PFDs and maps and everything set up. We'll zoom out here, get back. Let's zoom out and just see. Yep, that looks good. Our heading is up. Let's zoom back in so we can get a good idea about where we are here on the airport. And I think all that's great. All right, just let me take a quick look at the checklist before start. The parking brake is set. We're going to get pushed back, so we're going to take that off. And we've got the APU going, and APU bleeds. Standby power is on. External power we're not using, and the bus tie is open. All of those things look good. We've set up our transponder, our barometers, our flight plans in, and we've also put in our star for Atlanta. And we're not using ATC. I'm not worried about our nav comms today, our nav radios, but I do want to be sure we've got our wind is on, we have angle of attack on, we've got terrain. We're using synthetic terrain in our PFD, and we'll set our altitude for departure at 11,000 is what our initial climb will be. And speed, the heading bug is set on north, and that's good for me. So I think we can get these guys to push us back now. And here they come. And whilst he's doing that, let's be sure. I think we'll cut these anti-collision lights on and our tail floods on. Bring up our panel light. And put a little light in the cabin here. It's not going to hurt anything right now. All right, I think that's far enough. Thank you very much. Set our parking brake, and we'll go ahead and start our engine number 1. And we'll go here and monitor it as it comes up. I think this engine starting sequence seems to be pretty realistic in terms of the time that it takes. I like the sounds. We're just it's pretty much automated. All we have to do is just watch for our hot start or hung start, and to be ready to disable the starter. There's our light off. At 55%, we can start on the second engine. Actually, I think you can start both engines at one time if you want to, and I've done that. There's 40%, and call that good. We'll be at 50 by the time I get that closed. Raise that guard, bring that one to run. Left engine starts, and once again we'll come up here and just monitor and be sure we got a good start. So it looks like we've got 2 good starts. Close that guard, and let's come back up here, hide our yoke. Let's come in here and close that bus tie, take the APU generator offline, and then we'll come back down and shut off our APU. We're done with that for now. That's 2 good starts. So let me see. Before taxi, we got parking brake set, emergency lights. We should arm those. They're up here. Oops, 2 clicks up. They're armed. And our taxi lights, will bring those on. Recognition lights already on, tail floods, park and brake, and we're ready to go. Let go of that park and brake. Let's get a yoke. That's the throttle doing that clicking. And we're going to taxi down to runway 9 for departure. Had a nice visit here in Key West, Florida. Ready to head north to Atlanta. Really gotten to know this jet a little bit more intimately as I've been flying it. And really for default jet, now there are a couple of mods that I've got installed. And I'll be sure to leave those in the links below in the video description. And so I found it to be a joy to fly, and a very capable aircraft to get us everywhere we're going. There goes a 208. I'm flying with live weather and live traffic, so you never know what you're going to get. I will say I've been flying some in virtual reality using the HP Reverb G2, and thoroughly enjoying that. It almost makes me not want to fly on with the monitor anymore. Alright, we'll set our brake temporarily, and we'll come over here, and we've got our speed bugs, FMS, just double checking everything. There was something that I was going to bring our transponder into the altitude reporting, and we'll start our timer here when we get out onto the runway. It's setting on 0, so that's what we want. And let me check our before takeoff. We definitely want to get our flight director on. We'll use Toga to get a flight director up. There we go. And we're going to use auto throttle once we get airborne. And autopilot is off. Nav button is off. We're going to use the heading mode to begin with. Ice protection. Way over here, pitot static. As we heat, we want at least that on for now. And I'm going to, on ForeFlight, bring that back up. Let's come over to maps, close our flight plan, and hit the record button there, and that will give us, let's get ourselves, here we are down in Key West. You can see our route there, and I've got that all set up so we can kind of follow along with that. And we'll want flaps set. There they go, and indicating. And we'll get our lights on and we're ready to go. So bring up our landing lights, taxi lights off. Everything's good over there. We won't use the pulse for this. And we'll check the departure, the approach for traffic, and don't see any. Brakes release. There you are. And I did cut that APU off, yep. Okay.
Approaching runway 09.
Check.
Entered runway 09.
Alright, things are going to happen pretty quick on departure. So we'll get lined up good. Verify runway 9. Hit our brakes right here. Come in just a little bit tighter, and we're going to spool up to 50% in 1 at least, and there's, make sure everything's stable. It is. And let's bring it on up. Away we go. Heels on the floor. Airspeed's live. 60 knots. And up we go. Positive rate. Gear up. And flaps coming up. And throttle back slightly. And begin our turn to the north. Come in with heading mode, flight level change, and autopilot. Let's set our auto throttle on. Okay, we're at 245 knots. And let's zoom us out here so we can see what we're about. Climbing through 5,000. And we're off. So long, Key West. Now notice this auto throttle is pretty daggum aggressive, but we're coming through 10,000, and I'm going to take us on up to flight level 190. Through 10,000 we can ditch our lights, and everything else can stay the same up there, and now we can speed up. Yeah, see, I need to put it over here in manual mode. That's okay, now that we are. Now we can speed up. Yeah, so the FMS mode does not work. It would be nice if it did, but it doesn't, so we just go to manual mode, put it in to set our speed. Right now we're at 275, and we're going to go into that nav mode so we can intercept our course, and away we go. And I did not get the altitude dialed up fast enough, so we want to hit our flight level change mode and let it take us on up now. And at 270 knots, I think that's a good climb speed for right now, and we can increase that once we get up a little bit higher. So we have an outstanding rate of climb, although I can't exactly tell you what it is because this hides it, but it's something moving us up pretty quick. And ATC just cleared us on up to flight level 280, so we'll dial that up. didn't quite get it in time. So not to worry, just bring in flight level change again and we'll head right on up. And one more notch there.
Climbing through transition altitude.
Thank you, ForeFlight. Reminds me to set our altimeter to standard, 29902. We'll set this one to standard and continue our climb. And let's bring our speed on up to about 300 knots, give or take. There we are. So my speed, my heading, I believe even are 10-degree increments, 10 knots and 10 degrees respectively. That has to do with the the hardware I'm using, a Honeycomb Alpha yoke, and there's a fix for it. I haven't applied that yet because I really don't mind the 10 knots, but it would be nice to have it in 1 knot increments. At some point we'll do that, but for right now we're just fine. This is one heck of a performing airplane, I gotta tell you. Jet, it's taking us up where we want to be in a hurry. And I did forget to start that timer, but I did start the one on ForeFlight, so at least we got that one. And we're 8 minutes in right now, and we're at flight level 230, so not too shabby. We have a 23 knot wind coming off the left side. Not really helping us, not really hurting us. Our ground speed right now is 419 knots. And so from Atlanta right now we've got 533 nautical miles to go to our destination based on ForeFlight. I'll show you a way to check that in here. And you can come over to the waypoints info right here, airport, and let's put in Atlanta and enter that, and you can see 532 nautical miles right now. And if we wanted to know frequencies, it'll tell us that. Runways, it'll tell us that. So right now I can see though that we have 530 miles. So just a quick way to see where you are in your flight plan. Let's bring our flight plan back up, and right now we are headed to Carter, and looking here at the PFD, we're 19 miles from Carter. So just to get everything kind of set where I like it, I'm going to zoom us out to something like 50 nautical miles. Take a quick peep at ForeFlight and distance to destination 524. Altitude is coming up on 280. Ground speed 440 knots, and distance to destination, distance to next. I got a feeling that's not right, and it could be because I have flown this flight before, and I'll fix that. I've flown this flight before. I just needed to reset the app, ForeFlight app, and I haven't done that, so no worries, we'll fix that. So okay, we're leveling off here, and I'm going to speed us on up to a little bit faster cruise speed. Yeah, so I have found the auto throttles, they do work to some degree. They are very aggressive, and they get the job done. There's times it's better to use them, and in the descent, once we get close to the airport, I disengage them and just do manual throttle. You can fly them auto throttles all the way to basically touchdown, but we're not going to do that. Let's come up with a little bit more speed. this barber pole isn't 100% accurate. We're below flight level 300. I think we can probably get up to around 330 knots or so before we start overspeeding. But this is a good speed right here, 472 knots. If we get a little tailwind, we can definitely easily do 500, and that's plenty fast. Flight level 280. So we're on our way. Once again, welcome aboard. Sit back, relax, enjoy the flight.
$500.
Next time on FS MaNiA, things get a little dicey on the approach into Atlanta. Be sure to tune in and find out if we can get this $26 million jet back on the ground in one piece. Until then, from FS MaNiA, so long.
Number 5053, ILS, visual 271.
There, 5053, Atlanta Tower, the winds are 250 with 6, 27 left to land.